welcome back to Let the Journey Begin. I am your host, Jason Waller, alongside my co-host, Alex Meschi.
Yes, I feel like I should get a host title at this point. It's been my, sixth show in a row now?
What do you mean? You know you're the host now, right?
I don't want to take this over. You guys do such a great job.
No, I'm just kidding, man. I know. No, it's nice. Hey, that's why I kind of like it, though. We're able to mix it up, and it's the foundation is obviously a working foundation. So we got multiple roles, multiple things that we do. We're here to spread awareness and raise awareness.
Yeah.
But hey, man, we just had it was mental health awareness. The national holiday was just the other day, right?
Yeah.
It was correct.
Whole month of October is Mental Health Awareness Month, along with breast cancer awareness and a couple other things. But the other day was Mental Health Awareness Day, the international day, not just national. So big deal.
Yeah, no, I actually ended up getting very vulnerable on that day. And my wife actually, me and her both did, some posts on social media regarding that. And I actually opened up about how I was in detox the day before Delilah was born. And it was amazing the response that you get and how many people go through, maybe not the exact same similar experience as that, but there was actually people that went through similar experiences all the way to the effect of somebody relapsing the day after somebody was born. And so it's crazy when you start talking and sharing and, expressing vulnerability, how many people can really connect and relate. And, even from Ashley's perspective, just being in such a low place in her life. I mean, she always says like at that point, it was like March, April, May of 2017, she just lost sight of like what color she liked, what food she even enjoyed. Like it was just such a miserable existence. And I think on the other end now of like being in a totally different place to be able to, spread hope. And don't get me wrong, it was, it took a couple years of hellacious fighting, to get where we're at today. But at the end of the day, we're in a really, really good place. And it's just, I don't know, it's freeing. I guess it's a very, I had a lot of gratitude being able to post something like that. Cause I do remember like it was yesterday sitting over there at Hogue, taking the pictures that we took and just seeing at where life is at now. It's just a very freeing thing. And you saw me in that state, man.
Yeah. So. It was a crazy time.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can put it. But we've said it before. We'll say it again. It's the reason why we do things like this show. And the reason why you post things like that is to bring awareness to it, one, but because there are other people that are going through something similar or have gone through something similar or will go through something similar.
Yeah.
And by people like yourself that are able to be vulnerable and share the story, share the experience, and share the solution, it leads to more solution.
No, it does. And I think, again, it's, from a perspective, I think even just with what we're doing, what we're talking about with it being Mental Health Awareness Day and just where we are as a whole is it's actually, and it's scary to think about where things are going too. In regards to mental health and addiction and suicide and trauma, because we haven't even seen the effects of what's going to happen from the pandemic, the isolation. I mean, we've seen the immediate, effects of it from suicides going up, alcohol use going up, overdoses going up, drug abuse going up, marijuana use going up. We've seen all that, but we have not seen the long-term and long-lasting effects from that, which is it's scary. We got to be, and we have to talk about it. We have to be prepared for it because I think that the undertow is what's going to come back in the next 2 to 5 years. And we're going to even have a bigger outlash from this. So I don't know. That was something that I was just talking about with somebody this morning. And I wanted to be able to bring that up today and just talk about that.
Yeah, I think you're onto something too about starting the conversation about the fallout from the COVID pandemic. I don't want to see this turn into another form of the addiction epidemic that we've been dealing with, in that the stigma has created walls so high that the topic has been buried because nobody wants to address it or talk about it until 40 years later now. And we're dealing with fentanyl overdoses at a record high, just taking people out one after another.
Every minute and a half.
Let's get ahead of the 8 ball for once. I guess kind of a weird analogy.
Yeah, bro.
Okay. But with that being said, let's start the conversation now so that when the fallout does happen, we're prepared to actually handle it and not have all these people that are struggling for so long with nowhere to turn.
Yeah. No, it's something we'll keep talking about. And, it's, again, it's a great topic. We'll continue down that, but let's transition. And we got a great guest here today. I'm excited to to hear her story.
Yeah, we've got a wonderful guest here that connected with our good friend Ethan, and he's been able to bring a lot of great guests to our show. So we're very grateful for him, and hopefully he has a speedy recovery from his sickness that he's dealing with. But without further ado, we'd love to introduce Shana to our show. Thank you for joining us, and drove all the way in from Corona. For our listeners that are unfamiliar, that's like a half hour to be a part of our 30-minute show. So we feel honored to have
Half hour, bro. It's like an hour, man.
Okay, hour shit.
No,
Jeez.
totally my honor. It's a pleasure to be here. I look up to you guys. I love what you've got going on. I'm all about it. So
No,
Thank you.
Of course, we're very, very happy that you are here and, excited to learn more about you. So, Alex, hit it, man.
So we've got a very important question. I'm sure you've probably listened to a couple of our shows, so maybe you're prepared for this. But when you were a kid, what'd you want to be when you grew up?
what I wanted to be. Well, I was a big sports. I grew up in a super small farm town in Pennsylvania, literally grew up on a farm. So it was my job to get a scholarship and get out of there. So I wouldn't say I wanted to be a professional softball player. I wanted to be something professional, big to get out. I just knew there were big things for me. It wasn't that I was bigger than that town or that city, but that my parents gave me that little boost that they didn't have to take me to the next level. So I just knew I was going to get out. I was going to do something big. I was going to change lives. I didn't know how. It was going to be probably some sort of a professional athlete.
Why did you want to get out?
Well, it was an amazing childhood. Amazing, like literally in the woods, climbing trees, doing all that stuff. But, around 12, 13, 14, you hit that point and you're like, there's not much left here for me. A little bit of dysfunction in the family, but still nothing big. It was very much an unspoken pressure to kind of excel and do well and get out. I did want to get out though. I wanted to, and I love sports. It wasn't like anybody was pressuring me to do anything similar to your story. I wanted to play. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be good and make my family proud and do all those things. I just outgrew it. People stay there, they get pregnant, they stay on the farm. That's just what they do. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have so many friends from back home, but for me, it was just important to kind of spread my wings and see what I could offer.
So when you wanted to get out of your hometown and spread your wings, did you have your eyes fixated on any particular town like Los Angeles or Hollywood or anything like that?
I kind of, I knew I wanted an ocean. It was, ironically, I got a full scholarship to New York City, which, so New York City kind of sent me on my path. But I knew eventually I was going to go somewhere with water. So it didn't matter to me where. I kind of just had that free spirit too. I was ready to go. But I found myself in New York City, which ended up being a huge kind of pivotal moment in my path. During 9/11, I was there. So all kinds of crazy stuff happened. My parents were divorcing. I was figuring out I was gay. I was introduced to a lot of drugs, a lot of parties, a lot of New York City. And then September 11th happened and it just completely derailed everything. So I kind of bottled that up for a while. And I'm still, like we just talked, unpacking a lot of that like 20 years later, because to me, I wasn't directly in the building. So I had a weird survivor's guilt. I was on the bridge. I saw it happen. I lost friends, but it was insane because I just felt like I wasn't there. I was there, but I wasn't there. So I don't deserve to kind of go through that pain or that grief. And so I just moved on with my life. And, 15 years later, I'm at Hogue going through rehab, and I had to tell the story for the first time, and I got through it. They kind of let me sit in that uncomfortable space, not to divert from the question, but they let me sit in that uncomfortable space with, support. And it took me about a half an hour. I just froze, and I finally worked my way through it. And I realized that's the first time I had told the story from beginning to end. And wow, this is like really messed my life up. And so from that point, kind of just like speaking on things that to me, I was like, oh, it's not a big deal. You can handle that. We just worked through it. It hurt and that sucked, but we're going to move forward. I started realizing just that the little moments in life that, to address those as they come up and to figure out how we get through that and how we address it in the moment versus kind of packing it away. So
I want to hear how you went through all those. I mean, because those are three major things that you were experiencing, right? And going through that. But I'm curious, just to bring it back real quick. Did you pursue the sports career?
I did. I played 4 years at Iona in New Rochelle. Loved it, and that solely kept me on track. There's no way I would have made it. Softball. Yeah. I loved it. And I had an amazing team, amazing coach, everything. And that unit kept me from dying, I think.
Right.
And then after that, I coached a little bit. I coached at Mount St. Mary's in Maryland. And then crazy stuff happened there with one of the girls on the team got pregnant. It was insane. So anyway, I was like, I think I'm good with this. And I sold my car and I moved to California with like nothing. It was like,
well, so you said you think that kept you alive. So were you struggling at that point in college?
I was getting into ecstasy and doing a little bit here and there and drinking like way too much. And I realized then that I was doing it differently than everyone.
Right.
I was a party starter where I had the hookups, we're doing this, we're doing that. And like the jocks partied a lot, strangely. And, when you're in your off season, you were off.
You're cruising.
Yeah. So I had a great time and I had a bunch of good friends, but it was pure party. I wasn't really feeling the effects other than kind of lower grades, but my standards were kind of low because my parents hadn't gone to college. So it was, again, my job to keep the scholarship, kind of do the bare minimum, keep my grades afloat and get through. And I did that. So again.
Once in that dominoes though, and two, it sounded like, you were finding out about your parents, and then you're doing it. It sounded like there's some self-discovery within yourself of going through the process, right?
Yeah, lots of that.
9/11. So, not because again, we want to focus on solution, but I think it's important to get context of the backside of this. So, it's like, maybe kind of share, maybe out of those three, again, as they're very huge events. And I want to hear about all three of them. But, maybe one that was really the most triggering for you that kind of led you to come out to California and ended up in Hogue, right?
Right. Yeah. They all kind of compounded, honestly, and a bad breakup too. It was kind of, I was just like, F it, I'm out of here, kind of. And I just want to leave, leave that life behind. I hate to say the divorce because my sweet family's listening, but, that really hurt as a young, kid. I think the basic common thread between all of that was that my foundation was rocked, right? The foundation I had and my parents' stability was gone. Who I thought I was as a straight girl was gone. That was fine. But like, it still like conflicted my identity. And then my foundation, as far as September 11th went, we all thought we were safe. And then, I was sure that day I was going to die, so it was like just all that foundation wiped away. And I think that anxiety, that balled into this crazy anxiety to just numb out and like run away, even though in my mind, I was running towards bigger, better things. And California was where I was going to find that and whatever I was going to do out here. But I was cool with that. Like whatever I was going to do, I wanted to work in the action sports industry, which I ended up doing and got involved with Volcom and Soltec and all that. And I had a great time there. Sorry, not to lead into, yes.
Okay.
I know Brandon.
Yeah,
Phillips real good.
Yeah. Oh, no way.
Worked with him for a while.
Oh my God.
He's a good buddy. Yeah. So yeah, had a blast doing all that too. But anyway, I digress.
So it really sounds like all the structure and everything you knew almost just kind of dissipated. And that caused you to go into this fight or flight, which you decided to flee.
I ran. Yep. And again, I felt like I was running towards something bigger and better, but I was running.
After the rug got pulled out from under you, where did you find yourself at? And where did this ultimately take you?
Yeah. I went on that whole thing, like, 'cause I hated the winters there. 'Cause I was like, I can be crazy and I can be like, not well, but at least out there it's warm. There's palm trees and there's ocean. And that was my thought process. So if I made it to California, everything was going to be okay. And I really lived that way, because I was like, I'm cool. I got it here. I bought a truck. I had an apartment. I really didn't know anybody, but I started finding myself in places that, not that I didn't belong, but like the higher ups of Newport Beach and the real estate moguls and the this and the that. And I was like, I wasn't starstruck, but I was just like, okay, like this is how this works out here, right? Like things just get handed to you. Here come some drugs. Here come some girls. Let's go on a boat. And I was like, damn, this is like, should have done this a while ago. And I kind of got swept away in all of that, because it was easy and it was fun. And I didn't much care about what things I had. I didn't care about a place to live or a nice car. I was having a good time and I was living that California lifestyle. So I thought I had arrived.
Right.
And I lived that way for a while. I'm feeling very, very blessed to be able to party as hard as I was partying. So
what was that moment of clarity, after going through all those different trials and tribulations and just the moving, again, as family dynamic for me. And I think, for a lot of people is a very, very key element to a strong foundation, so, I understand all that, but what was this what was that moment of clarity that you ended up experiencing, during your addiction where you're like, look, I just can't continue like this?
Totally. I was ready to get help. I think, I partied through the action sports industry, and that was great. You get kind of paid in gear and beer. And that was great for a while. And then I was like, I kind of need some money to live. And I had a blast doing that. But I think I settled down with my wife, and God bless her. She's such a good woman. And we adopted our first son. Leading up to that, we had a ton of infertility struggles too. So that's part of my story as well. I always thought I would carry. I always thought that was going to be easy for me, and I was not able to. So we also knew we wanted to adopt. We didn't know how or when that was going to happen. But when I was not able to carry every time, I just went further down. So we decided we're going to adopt by the time we were matched with a birth mother, and we got our sweet son, Brixton, who we got right out of the womb. I was so sick. And I was like, oh my God, this is everything I wanted. I have this baby, I have this wife, I have this life, and I am so sick that I can't even, enjoy it. So we checked me in then. It was this is over. I wanted help though. I was ready for help. I was ready for a change. I didn't want to be that mom. So
how long ago was this?
That was 5 years. He's 5 years old. So I've been sober for 5 years. He was 6 months old when I went to Hogue. So
do you think that family component was the purpose that you were looking for?
For sure. No doubt. I mean, there's no way. I couldn't get sober for myself. I couldn't even get sober for my wife, but I could do it for my babies, for sure. So your post the other day hit me hard, for sure, because my wife was actually a nurse on the telemetry unit at Hogue while I was in rehab. So she would come down to visit me.
No.
I'm like, oh, this is crazy. She's like, got to go check on my wife.
Well, it's who would have, it's considering the circumstance. I mean, that kept me, that shame, that guilt and stuff. I mean, that's what ended up taking me back out, because that wasn't even enough. Right. I mean, it took me 6 more months until I actually was able to finally get sober.
Right.
But I didn't actively arrest the disease. I didn't get stabilized. I didn't have that core component, but from being in Hogue, to be able to sit across from somebody that experienced that exact same thing, where I thought I was the only person in the world that was, in detox, whether their wife's water's breaking and then going up to the fourth floor. And it's just it's so amazing how, for me, how God is put this type of stuff together, because if I never talked about this, I never would have been able to connect with people at this level. Now that I have somebody sitting in the room that's experienced the exact same thing. I mean, you want to talk about God, John.
Absolutely. And what brings you together? I mean, how would I have met you? You know what I mean? It's like meeting Ethan, doing these things. It's it's such a blessing. And it really is, because it just opened my eyes to this whole group of people that they don't want anything back from you. Yeah. I'm sure you feel that too. It's
but it's even, but just being able to really resonate and to be in that spot with you. I can tell you, I remember it was yesterday, being in that hospital when Delilah was born, and being in that state of mind. And so I don't know, my heart just goes out to you. And I mean, I saw you getting emotional about it, and it's something that we'll hold on to for the rest of our lives, and that was the turning point for me, is when I was missing Delilah crawling and seeing things that were going on that I was like, I'll never be able to get, there's the thing, I can get a lot of stuff back, but memories, time, things like that, I'll never be able to procure. And that was the turning point for me. So
kids will do that to you. Thank God. I call them my angel babies, because they saved my life. No doubt.
100%. And it sounds like you're like I was, it got to a point where, it wasn't even about doing it for ourselves anymore. It was just we're just kind of if we're gone, we're gone.
We're going, let's do it.
But it's amazing to see how it comes back though, and again, for people out there that are struggling, sometimes it isn't for yourself, because that wasn't for me, and I think people hear that often is you have to do it for yourself. Yes, that's an important facet, but for me, my original sobriety, July 23rd, 2010, it was for my parents. For sure. And then this go around, it was for Delilah, because when I drink and use, it was fun. It was a lifestyle, and it became a way of survival. And when I'm in that state of mind, it's drug-induced psychosis, suicidal ideations, don't want to be here anymore. And I had to have that process disrupted. And it sounds like there's a lot of similarities with that.
Absolutely. And I think you learn to love yourself through, I loved them so much I could get sober. And I learned to love myself enough to want this life more than, being sick. Who wants to be sick? Nobody wants to be sick. But I mean, that self-love can come. I think it's important for people to know that you don't have to love yourself right off the bat. You're going to learn to love yourself through your actions and through, the new choices you start making.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I think as you do make those changes and you see the reflection of those changes in your life, and you really get to enjoy the fruits of your labor, you get to love yourself more as it rolls.
Totally.
No,
Totally.
that's powerful.
I think I'm still working on it. I don't know about you. I mean, self-love is a big thing for me. So it's like, I like myself. I'm still working on loving myself too. So I think it's an ongoing, it's a process.
You'll get there. I mean, I can honestly, it's something that I've been advocating for a lot, is like one of the most beautiful gifts about sobriety for me is getting to know myself. And I actually can look in the mirror today and like say, I'm proud of you.
Yep.
Like, as before, there's so much shame, so much guilt, honestly, so much hatred towards myself.
Yeah.
That, it was hard to look at. But now to be able to look, I mean, I know I'm a good dad. I know I'm a good husband.
Totally.
I know I'm a good, brother, friend. I mean, I know I'm a person that is accountable, that you can count on, that's trustworthy. And that isn't how it always was, right? And to be in that spot today is, it's incredible. So you'll get there, and sometimes it's quicker, sometimes slower for some people. And, keep trudging that path, and you're worth it. Is this your first go? Was this your first treatment stint?
This is my first, yes.
Let's keep it the last.
Yep, let's keep it the last. I know. I think it's important to have a healthy fear also. I mean, because it's at any second. I hate to live my life in fear like that, but I want to say it's like it's a healthy acknowledgement, just knowing that
healthy reminder.
It's there. Yep.
Right? A healthy reminder. And that's a very important thing, is because I'll never, and just again, to each his own, right? But for me, I'll never say I'm like recovered from alcohol, because like as soon as I think I have power over the disease, look what's happened to me in the past. So it's like I take it a day at a time. Again, as I'm doing everything I can today, and I can look you honestly in the eyes, everybody, like today, I'm gonna stay sober today. You know, but tomorrow it's a new day, and I got to approach each day like that, because that's what happened. Yep. That's why I ended up relapsing, because I did not look at it as each day, and I got further and further away from my program, and I ended up going back out. So this is amazing. But going back to your story, so you go through all this. You're at Hogue. You have a new baby. So what does your life look like today now? I mean, what is the things that you focus on? How do you maintain and sustain this life of sobriety? It sounds like you've got almost 5 years, or a little over 5 years.
A little over 5 years.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. I can't believe it. Like when you look back and you think of where you were and how that felt and where you are now, and oh my gosh, I want to work so hard at sobriety to keep this life. My life is great. I have an amazing wife that stuck with me through that, but gave me strong boundaries, and I thank her for that. And I've got these 2 beautiful babies that there's no way that we could have gotten or had or been able to enjoy had I not been sober. A 5-year-old and an almost 2-year-old. And I can, their birth mothers blessed us, are both adopted. They wouldn't have given us those children if I had been where I was. And they keep, it's my whole world. I've been able to start a small recovery project in order to give back as my service piece.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So the Helpful Hats Project is something I started.
It's called the Helpful Hats.
The Helpful Hats Project. Yeah. And it is a project. It's not a brand. It's something I designed to kind of just help and really reach out to the community, whether they're in recovery or they know somebody in recovery or somebody who's struggling. We were in lockdown in the pandemic, and I was like crazy watching politics and the riots and all that stuff. And I was like, I got to get unplugged here. And I was trying to think of how I could reach out. I thought back to when I was so sick, but I didn't know where I needed to go. Did I need to go to church? What do I do? And I thought of just putting a simple message on a hat. It says, ask me how to get sober, period. Like nothing else, just like identifying myself as a helper in my everyday life, showing somebody that might be thinking about it or might be wondering like what to do or who do I talk to, that they could approach me as a helper. It was super simple. So we were still going to the gym, which was outside, and we were still going to church, which was outside. So I just made this one prototype and I wore it, not thinking like anything was going to happen. And within the first hour at the gym, somebody came up to me, a mother in tears, and she was like, can I talk to you about alcohol? I was like, sure. Her daughter was super sick. She didn't know what to do. Because my thing was, at that moment, we just got a new baby and things were crazy. Yeah. But I could certainly point somebody in the right direction. I could give them my phone number. I could get them to a meeting. I could give them the resources. And that was kind of my goal, was that at least I could give them something. So I gave her my number. She got her daughter into treatment. It was, I don't know what's happened since. I need to follow up. But I mean, just that interaction, I was able to hug her. I spent a half an hour with her, kind of gave her a little insight into the addict's mind, and it not being her fault, and that, she just needed help. And I was able to do that.
That's so rad.
And then another trainer approached me. He was like, "You're in recovery, or are you in recovery?" And he's like, I got like 6 years. And so just through that community,
Right.
And we got a lifelong bond. We went to a couple meetings together. It's crazy. So after that, he's like, "You got to make more of these." And just like, I'd make them for free and hand them out if I could.
Right.
but we decided that 10% will go, kick back to a women's recovery center locally. So
I love it.
So we're doing that. So I'm partnered with the Edge in Santa Ana right now, which is how I met Ethan. So
good for you.
Very cool.
yeah, so that keeps me sober for sure. I just started kickboxing, so that's fun. I need to be learning new skills. I think if I'm not learning something new, I'm like idle. We know it's just
Right.
not good.
Of course. So you doing anything more? Are you any experiencing with any sports stuff? You playing softball? You just going to the beach, surfing?
Just it's my goal. If my wife is listening, she needs to let me do this. But
You're right.
I'm trying to do Muay Thai.
Okay.
I've made it a goal to do an amateur fight before I'm 45. I don't know. I'm 41 right now, so you got some time. But
Good for you.
I kind of need goals to, like, why am I training? Why am I in the gym? That kind of addict brain. It's like I can't. God forbid I just do it to be, happy and
Right.
healthy. But so I'm like, if I do that, then, but at least it's a goal to kind of work forward to and look at. So yeah, I keep the sports for sure. Physical activity for me is major, whether it's hiking or whatever, just outside. I need to be outside and moving for sure.
I love it.
I almost feel like we should put together an RSF co-ed softball team and go stomp
yeah.
on some of these local fields.
I'm a little rusty, but we can go do that.
I think we should. I think we should. I think we should definitely do that.
We got a lot of talent in this room. And
Yeah. No, but that's I love that. And do you have a daily routine or a regiment that you stick by, or?
I do it. Yeah. It's kind of altered since the pandemic. But I don't know if you guys are familiar, but there's this app called Clubhouse, and it's incredible. It's been really good for the recovery community. I found that during the pandemic, and it's kind of an audio drop-in. It's like Zoom, but without the Zoom.
I have heard of that.
Dude, it's awesome. And it was like a huge game changer for me. I was having a terrible time kind of expressing my story and sharing it. And I was able to kind of, through that, I don't know what it was about it. Maybe it was like the not being insecure on the Zoom or whatever, but it was audio, it was open. There's probably 20 or 30 people, and it's just a discussion. It's kind of like this. It's run like a meeting, but it's very like, just you take your turn and you raise your hand, and it created some of the most deep conversations I've had in sobriety, honestly. And it's audio. You can kind of look on the app and drop into a meeting almost any time of day.
Check
just
that
check
out.
in and introduce yourself. And anyway, so that's been a big one for me. I usually do that every morning at 9. Get to the gym, take the kids to the gym. They like that. Pray a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of praying. And just gratitude. The classic living in gratitude. I really do that. And I think that that's important, to just love what you have and not need more.
So if you were to leave our listeners with one thing, if they're struggling, or if there's just one piece of advice or encouragement you'd want to give them, we do an action for the day. What would your action be for them?
I think it's to take action, honestly. Take an action. Do something, whether you're in sobriety and sober, like keep acting, keep going to what you're going to, doing what you're doing. Be of service. If you're trying to get sober, take action, ask for help. Go find someone that can help you, talk to somebody. Just take some action.
I don't think anybody's ever said that.
No.
What is your action for the day? Take action. That's pretty damn good.
We keep it simple here,
I
right?
like that. That was so good. I wish we had more time, because I could keep talking to you about so many
I can
different
just stay here and hang out all day. No problem.
You can for sure. Well, we're gonna have to bring
I'm gonna
you.
miss traffic, so I gotta hang out.
Right. Well, we want to. I think it'd be great to be able to have you back on, and I think there's other areas to be able to dive into that so many people, are struggling with, that I think you could be very insightful with, and provide some solution and some suggestions around that. But for the time being, just so grateful that you were able to come here and be a part of this. If people want to find out more about you or the Helpful Hats Project, where can they find you? Where can they go?
Totally. Best way is Instagram. It's just helpful_hats_project. That's the best way through there. I also offer, anyone can DM me if you're looking for help. The best way is through Instagram. I check that every day just to kind of make sure people are good and don't need anything. There's also a website. It's just www.helpfulhatsproject, all one word, destined.com. And there you can check out the product, and 10% of every purchase goes to a local women's rehabilitation facility. So we like to kick back a little bit something, even if it's just a little. At least it's, to me, it was more than I had to give before, So even every little bit helps.
I love it.
That's
well, I'm
awesome.
looking forward to helping, and we'll make that aware. And again, if you guys are out there, you're not alone. Reach out, take action. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.